here in Miami-Dade County. And Miami-Dade County is an anchor institution in our community with a $9 billion budget. And ensuring that local and small business owners in Miami-Dade County receive their fair share of county contracting will be essential to building an inclusive and resilient post-pandemic economy. And that's why we have convened this roundtable, this town hall with all of you to hear from you and learn about solutions and ideas to make the county's procurement policies more equitable, inclusive, and accessible to small and local businesses. This afternoon, we have a full agenda and we want to hear from you. But first, we'll have welcoming remarks from Mayor Daniela, as well as from members of the Board of County Commissioners. So at this time, I would like to introduce to you Mayor Daniela Levine Cava.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. We're very excited. You could tell by Jason's voice how excited he is to have this wonderful group of people on the call and to have this very important conversation. I want to start by recognizing the members of our Board of County Commissioners that are here present. I see our Vice Chairman, Oliver Gilbert, and I see Commissioner Rebecca Sosa. And both of them are very committed to procurement reform to assist all of us to have better practices, to help more businesses, and we could not be more pleased to have them on the call and have their leadership on the County Commission. So thank you to you both. And I also want to thank our Division Director, Gary Hartfield, who has joined us today, and his team at the Small Business Development Division of the Internal Services Department for their enthusiastic support of this bold initiative. And Tara Smith, our Director of Internal Services Department, and Namita Apal, Chief Procurement Officer, also at the Internal Services Department, for their leadership and contribution in putting this town hall together. Very special thanks to Daryl Holsendorf, who chairs the Goods and Services Task Force, and his team, who have championed the important work of reimagining what is possible for our procurement process, and having convened a group over several years and put together some outstanding recommendations. And of course, thank you to everyone for being part of this important conversation that will make county government services more accessible and more responsive to your needs. So I believe that procurement can be much more than a necessary operational function. It can, in fact, be a key strategic opportunity, a key opportunity for county government, a key opportunity for public that wants to participate and take advantage of economic opportunity. So procurement is a process that can not only be optimized for speed and efficiency, but it can also be made more equitable, more inclusive, and tightly aligned with the county's overall strategic priorities for economic development. So in that spirit, the objectives for this town hall session is twofold. And actually, I should say this is one of a series. So we are going to have at least one other. So this is just town hall number one. The first objective is to listen carefully to our small business community, to understand their point of view and the opportunities for improvement that they see. So we're very excited for your oral input today, as well as the responses to the surveys. And number two, to bring all of the stakeholders together so that we can reimagine and reinvent the future of procurement in the county, even as we face tough challenges along the way. In fact, especially as we face these tough challenges. And you know, every challenge creates opportunities. So let's use this one as a way to really improve our practices. So spearheading this effort is our new Office of Equity and Inclusion. It is led by Rahel Welda-Yasus, Senior Advisor for Innovation and Performance, and Director Jason Smith. Jason and his team also include Shireen Floyd, who is with us on the call as well. She is the Director of Performance and Analytics. And we have Danilo Vargas, who is our Small Business Innovation Manager, who worked with us as well in District 8, creating Accelerate South Dade, our small business accelerator. And these people are tasked with leading this initiative, collaborating with everybody who wants to participate, and making sure that we can drive real results together. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us on this journey of reinvention. I am really looking forward to the conversation, and most importantly, to the next steps and action that we can take together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this time, I would like to introduce, it's my honor to introduce Vice Chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, Oliver Gilbert.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Commissioner Sosa, hello, good afternoon. Thank you for your leadership, through the years on this issue and many others in the county. I'm sitting here looking at this screen, and I know I'm going to get in trouble because what happens is I see the people that I see on the square. So I see all these faces. I see people like Makiba Gassant and Gary Hartfield from the county and Bill. And, I see people who I've known for years, and I'm happy to see everyone here. And I also want to acknowledge Gordon from Commissioner Hardeman's office who's on. This is an interesting thing, and this is how it should be done. Because a lot of times we see and we think of reform as it having to come from inside. And the people who work in county government are wonderful professionals, and their voice should definitely be heard with regards to reform. But honestly, we need a system that actually works and enables everyone in the community. And to do that, you can take different perspectives into account. Look, we know through our procurement, we can not only get goods and services in a timely way, but we can also help transform the economics of our community. We know that we can do that because we've done it before, not just here in South Florida, but we've done it all across the country. The real question is whether we have the will to do it. And so I appreciate you putting together this series, Madam Mayor. I appreciate people like, Eric Knowles on and everyone from the community and everyone from the county just being willing to grasp the idea that we can actually do something different. Look, our procurement system, like most of our systems, are social constructs. We look at, they have some rules that we have to abide by, but generally speaking, we can shape it. And sometimes we feel like those systems, they bind us, like they created us. But in fact, we created them. And we can recreate them as we need to be reflective of our needs in this community. We can recreate them as we need to be reflective of our values in this community. And we've done it before. And so my expectation is that if we've done it before, we can do it again. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate hearing your perspectives, and let's have a good town hall.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. At this time, it is my honor to introduce to you Commissioner Rebecca Sosa.
Thank you, Jason, and good afternoon to everyone. Madam Mayor, thank you for convening this important roundtable to discuss finally procurement again. And to the Vice Chair, always a pleasure to see you and to work together with all of you. I think that I am excited to see the Goods and Service Task Force participating in today's conversation, as well as so many members of the public representing our diverse business community. We want to learn more and become better. Back in 2006, thanks to Barbara Carey Schuler, she appointed me to a board to reform procurement in the county. Back in 2006, Mayor, that was a long time ago. So I sponsored the creation of the Procurement Reform Advisory Board. At that time, the goal was to engage the community like you're doing today to look better. We conveyed a diverse group of professionals, even from private industries and small businesses, to review our policies at that time. We wanted, and we continue to want, to ensure integrity and fairness in the process. At that time, they reviewed everything. They came with ideas. We adopted all the recommendations. No more customizing descriptions for competition. No more selection process where someone knows someone. So at that time, they were wonderful, and we adopted those guidelines. I remain proud of the important work conducted at that time for the reform. And my colleagues adopted all the recommendations at that time. In fact, Miami-Dade County was selected as the first county in North America to receive the prestigious Pareto Award of Excellence in Purchasing. And that was because of the job of the administration, the job of all the workers in the departments after the adoption. Now, Madam Mayor, we're bringing ethics reform to the qualification for those who sit down to select to make the selection of who's going to win and how they are going to win. We no more customizing, and we haven't seen any additional report in the paper about things that were done wrong. So moving forward with the new technology, with the delegated authorities, with improving business and vendor relation, we started the locals at that time to give locals a priority and the small businesses too. Now we need to continue and make it stronger. We need to help our community, and I am here to help. I am here to work together. Madam Mayor, our work is not over, and I am happy to support your efforts to ensure that our procurement remains transparent, competitive, efficient, and worthy for the public trust and for those that we represent and pay our taxes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you.
And let me just add, Commissioner Sosa, thank you so much for your leadership on this topic for many, many years, and all the improvements and the kudos that have come to us. Definitely, you created a floor, and we're going to keep going. How's that?
Together. We can.
Together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much from Commissioner Sosa to Vice Chairman Gilbert. And thank you all for joining. I just want to highlight the fact that we have 125 participants in this town hall at the moment. That has to be a record. So hats off to our engaged community who really want to, like Commissioner Sosa said, instill our procurement system with integrity, fairness, transparency, competition, and efficiency. So in keeping with that, we will now have a presentation from our Chief Procurement Officer, Namita Upal, followed by Small Business Division Director, Gary Hartfield. They will set the stage for our discussion and provide us with some background on the procurement system and the Small Business Division and where we are now. And Namita, take it away.
Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon, everyone. What could I possibly say that the commissioner and the chair, vice chair, and the mayor hasn't said? It is so true that together we all need to work and reform and reimagine and make sure we are inclusive of small and local businesses. That has been our goal, and we're not there yet, but together I definitely know we'll get there. I have a very short presentation, and I will share my screen at this moment and go over it. Hope you can see it. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for organizing this. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Reimagining procurement in today's world is very, very critical, especially after COVID, and we saw what the impact of COVID on small and local businesses is, and this is perfect timing. I think we all have the energy to take this to the next level, and we're gonna do it. I want to start by 4 E's that I heard, I guess, from one of the social media that I read about Mayor's 4 E's: equity, environment, economy, and engagement. When I read that, I'm like, these all 4 tie so much to procurement. Equity. How can our procurement processes and contracting be more equitable? How can we do more sustainable procurement? How can we re-energize our economy by making sure small and local businesses are included in there? There is healthy participation, the dollars remain with small and local businesses. How can we engage our community in our processes so we make it better? We don't have all the ideas, so that's why we are here to engage small and local businesses who can guide us, who can give us ideas of how we make it better. So that's why the importance of 4 E's and how they tie to the procurement. Our mission is simple. Obviously, as Vice Chair mentioned, it's timely acquisition, good pricing, but at the same time, the key words are integrity, fairness, competition, all these fundamentals of procurement that the Commissioner mentioned, Commissioner Sosa, and community inclusion. This is where we all put our efforts together and make sure our processes are We run our processes with integrity, fairness, competition, and inclusion. That is the only way to succeed. That is the only way to run our operation. No, there's no other way. Our focus is mainly on competitive procurements. There are different ways we do it. This is, if I go in detail, it's going to be a long one, and I know I'm going to bore everybody, but our focus is how do we make our procurements competitive, whether it's requests for proposals, everybody's familiar with the pools, invitation to bids, whether it's architecture, engineering, or design build services. These are the competitive procurement methods. Now, there are instances where we cannot compete. We have those too. But how do we make sure our procurements are competitive to the best that it's allowed? That's what Procurement's mission is. I want to share some certain facts and figures, and then I'll show the perspective of in goods and services. The value of the contracts and pools that we have is $9 billion. It doesn't mean we spend $9 billion a year, but we have $9 billion worth of active contracts and pools. And on those contracts and pools, we have 3,000 vendors and only 1,185 local vendors, about 30 to 40%. And I'm sure the small business vendors in those contracts and pool is further a subset of 1,185. That is not where we want to be. We want to increase that number, and this is where we need your help. Another set of facts and figures. We have, as a county, awarded about $400 million on construction and leases to small businesses from January 2018. For professional services, approximately $74 million, and we have paid about $131 million for goods and services. That is not enough, considering how much the county spends on an annual basis on all of these contracts. We need your help in determining how do we increase small and local business participation. We have certain programs today that are available. Small and business local programs where Gary Hartfield and his team certify the companies as a small business certified, and we apply measures to our contracts. We have local business program, we have local certified program, we have a locally headquartered program. In spite of all these programs, we are not seeing the participation that we want to. We are not seeing the award that we want to the level to the small and local businesses. What can we do as a county for small and local businesses to encourage that? Do we need more programs? What do we need to do? That's where we need your ideas and help. We do, just as a side note, we do monthly workshops, virtual workshops to give guidance to the vendors, how to prepare proposals in response to RFPs, bids, and A&E selection process. We have instituted virtual workshops, and we do one in the morning, one in the evening to allow vendors the flexibility. I encourage everybody to take advantage of those workshops. Send us your questions so we can answer and see where we can improve. That's just another way for all of you to participate in the county process and learning more about it. Now, this is my last slide. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating in this roundtable. I know we have champions here, Mayor Cava, Commissioner Sosa, Vice Chair Gilbert. They all want the best for local and small businesses. And Commissioner Sosa is already working on, I know, great ideas in certain implementations that you'll see in next a few months. Vice Chair Gilbert, I know you have ideas that we'll be very happy to work with you. And the mayor already is putting forth best of her team to increase the participation. So we're here to serve. I would encourage all of the participants to go and click on the link that I have for survey so we can hear you, we can review what you have to say to us and come up with a plan. And thank you so much, and we'll be taking all your questions in the end.
Thank you so much, Namita. At this time, we'll have Gary Hartfield, the director of our Small Business Division, to give us a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, for being a part of this process. Again, my name is Gary Harfield. I'm the Director of Small Business Development. We at Small Business Development, as Namita just mentioned, we have a myriad of things that we cover to ensure that we create many opportunities for small businesses to participate in this glorious land of opportunity in Miami-Dade County. As Namita mentioned, over $9 billion in projects that we have over multiple years, but we like to break that down to a yearly activity. By our county code, we're supposed to spend at least 10% of our dollars with small businesses. That's in the area of construction, architect, engineering, and goods and services. Over the last 3 years, we've been averaging around 15 to 17% of those dollars going to these businesses, but that's not enough. Our efforts here at Small Business Development is always prescribed that the 10% is just the floor and not the ceiling, and we want to get that number up to 20 to 25%. But how can we do that? We do that with businesses like yourselves becoming a part of our certified businesses. Namita made a point of stating that a lot of the pool businesses, small businesses and firms that are in the pool contracts are not are about 1,185 firms. Miami-Dade County Small Business Development has over 2,000 firms certified with us in the areas construction, architect, engineering, goods, and services. But a lot of our firms are not participants in those pool contracts where opportunity avails themselves for a lot of our firms. We have had the pleasure of working with the Goods and Services Task Force, which you will be hearing from soon, who made some outstanding recommendations that we, the administration, are working with them in order to fine-tune them to bring out better opportunities within our programs to create more opportunities for our small businesses. We're looking forward to getting all of you guys as a part of our process and a part of doing business with this county. Just because you're certified as a small business doesn't mean that you're a vendor with this county. And that's why our numbers are not reflective in all the areas of being vendors with this county. To become a vendor, you must go through the procurement process and work with Namita to become a vendor with this county. But being a small business, certified small business, it avails you not only to those opportunities as being a prime vendor with the county, but also opens you up for subcontracting and sub-consulting opportunities with our projects as well. We ensure that responsible wages are being paid and the living wages being paid, and we make sure that those things are happening on all county contracts. We give a maximum effort to ensure that our county is moving forward and everyone in this community is prospering from it. It is our pleasure to be a part of this answer for our community, to be a part of the solution for our community, and we're here today to just listen so that we can absorb some of the good information that's coming from you, the businesses who are on this ground fighting this good fight every day, so how we can advance our skill sets to make your dreams come true and make our community one and become better. So, Madam Mayor, I thank you for this roundtable. Commissioners, I thank you for your knowledge and experience in leading us, and I look forward to listening and hearing some wonderful ideas so that we can grow our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hartfield. So we have a Goods and Services Task Force, as you've heard throughout this meeting, and we are pleased to introduce Chair Daryl Hosendorf, as well as Chair Makiba Gassant, who will share with us their preliminary findings and recommendations. They have done a deep dive into the procurement policies of the county, so we definitely want to hear from them. Chair Hosendorf.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Chair, Commissioner Sosa, for you all's effort in trying to bring about the change that we definitely need. I am the new chair of the Small Business Advisory Committee, which I've been on that committee for quite a while. And I wanted for the public to know back in 2005, this advisory committee was created for the sole purpose to foster growth in the economy of Miami-Dade and affording small businesses and micro businesses the opportunity to gain experience, knowledge, and resources to compete and survive. That was the ordinance. The advisory committee's sole purpose was to address issues that affect small businesses. So being a member of the Small Business Advisory for several years, it was very frustrating to me and several members of that committee as to why so many of these contracts I want to say almost 70 to 80% of the contracts are going to firms that are not in Dade County. So Namada presented some great data which shows even with her pool, only 30% of those contracts awarded locally. So you're talking about 66% of those dollars are leaving. So we have been advocating for a task force for 2 years. Finally, Commissioner Jordan put through the ordinance to have us create it. Our vice chair, Mr. Gilbert, is now the new sponsor of this task force. And we have made our first round of recommendations. However, we're still a work in progress, and we're looking for this opportunity to get more participation from the local business community to help us with some of the recommendations. We have 2 subcommittees. One of them is policy, and the other is industry. We find here in Dade County that a lot of the goods and services that are needed by the county aren't currently being provided. So coming out of COVID, we find this a great opportunity for not only the county, but for businesses to pivot to where the need is and where the spend is. So Makiba Kassant, she is my co-chair on the task force, and she will elaborate a little more, but I want to make this appeal to those on social media and those participating that we need your voices around the table to support the recommendations that we're giving. We're currently going through every policy, which is policy 338, which is for procurement, and policy 341, which is for small business. This is where change can be affected when we look at those who undermine programs that are put in place to help local small business. So we need your voices. And again, I'll introduce you to Makiba, who will give you more details about what we're doing to bring about the change that we know local and local small businesses need.
Makiba, please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Helsendorf, for that great introduction. Madam Mayor, thank you for this opportunity, the ISD team, SBD, and everyone who's here for this such great event. So again, my name is Makiba Kassant, and I'm the chair of the Industry and Contracts Working Group. And as today's roundtable focuses on opening more doors of opportunity for Miami-Dade businesses, our working groups within the task force are assisting by uncovering gaps between major industries and local business utilization. So we're looking at the types of contracts and their structure within procurement. And we're also reviewing existing policies, and we're connecting with big departments like water and sewer, who purchases numerous supplies, local service providers at the seaport, and how we can push for more information technology integration that reflects pertinent data. Because what we're finding is that there's a gap between the numbers of what we're seeing for actual utilization, and we're using that data to make recommendations to improve on that. So these are just a few industry areas where we know Dade County businesses can thrive. And that's why this roundtable is all the more important, because we want to bring forth ideas and we want to hear from you, the stakeholders. And as mentioned, we are charged to create recommendations that will impact our county. So your voice matters, your voice counts, and your input can drive innovation. So when your feedback is requested, let's answer. When your opinion is inquired, let's reply, and let's create the framework together to enhance our local community. So once again, we're taking a deep dive in our working groups to look at the numbers, to look at the contracts, to get a better understanding, to move forward with recommendations. So as our chair mentioned, we implore you to participate and get your voice heard so we can bring forth those recommendations to the board. And thank you, Vice Chair, Commissioner Sosa, because you are the board we're bringing those recommendations to. So we are very thankful for your support. And in closing, I just want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. And that quote is, "The fall of dropping water wears away the stone." And each drop is an effort towards change, right? And with each consistent falling drop, we want to think about that stone of old systems, the stone of barriers to opportunity wearing away with all of our combined efforts together. And I think that will help us to reveal a few more pathways to success. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gassant. Could you tell us when the next Small Business Goods and Services Task Force will meet, when the next meeting will be for the benefit of those who are participating today?
Sure, absolutely. So we're meeting bi-weekly. Our next one is going to be on Thursday. So every bi-weekly Thursday. The next one is so next week. And that is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have been hosting our meetings virtually.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'd just like to recognize that we have Mr. Go ahead, Makiba. I'm sorry.
Yes. So bi-weekly on Thursdays next week, 11 to 2. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that little technical slip up. I just wanted to recognize Mr. Felix Jimenez from the Office of the Inspector General, who's with us today. Thank you for joining us and participating and always being a welcome partner when we talk about procurement and making sure that the county does the right thing for the taxpayers of Miami-Dade County. Thank you so much. At this, can you guys hear me? Okay, great. At this time, I want to turn the floor over to my co-lead in the Office of Equity and Inclusion, Shireen Floyd, who will go through some of the survey results that we have. And thank you all for participating in the survey. The survey is still open. It will remain so, but we have some preliminary findings for you. Shireen, please take it away.
Hi, how are you? Can you all hear me okay? Great. Can you see the screen? Actually, let's make sure something happened there with the screen share. I think this is the right view. Right, that's the view we want. Okay, great. Thank you for your patience. So, as Jason indicated, I'm Director of Performance and Analytics, and I want to do a few things today. And I don't want to take up too much time because I know we are approaching, we're a little bit after 5, and want to leave some time for the question and answer and dialogue later. But I wanted to talk briefly about our approach in collecting this data. And I wanted to preview a few things and also just underscore that these are preliminary results of our someone's in there filtering of our survey, and that we're going to keep it open a few weeks just to make sure we have as much representation as possible from our vendor list. So we did, and I'll back up to say that we did issue this survey to the 20,000 plus vendors that are registered with the county. To provide services as a vendor. And so far we have about 139 responses. And again, we'll keep it open. And I do want to share, actually, I'll do it a few times so that it sticks. And I know Nama to share it as well. But if you're viewing and you received a survey, or you're a business owner and you're interested in providing your feedback, you can contribute by going to miamidade.gov. /procurement survey. And again, I'll share that with you all later so that you make sure you have that. Again, so just a quick view of what our approach here. So we're looking at 3 things. We had 3 objectives in issuing this survey to all vendors. And that was just to understand effectiveness of county communication and processes. We want to understand how the process varied by business type and business size. So we asked questions around size and revenue to get a handle on the experience for small businesses and local businesses versus the larger businesses. And we also wanted to understand what are the obstacles. And I said 3 objectives is really the 4th overarching objective is just to start the dialogue. So we wanted to use the data to start the dialogue and understand where we can drill down. So again, I'll show you, highlight some areas that I think might help facilitate the conversation we're about to have. And I'll possibly pose some questions and then just remind you all where to find the survey if you're interested in taking it. So the first thing I'll highlight is the majority of industry responses came from professional services and companies that identified as other. I found that to be a lot of construction and printing services, publication services. Again, this is a point in time as of 3:30 today, in fact. So that's who's responding mostly, and mostly folks with less than 200 employees, and with annual revenues between $1 million and $5 million were made up of a little bit more than half of their responses. As far as satisfaction with parts of the process, so we broke down the process in 6 ways. So that affidavits and forms, certification, vendor registration, vendor payment, opportunities to contract and bid, and legal requirements. And again, this will ebb and flow as more folks contribute to the survey. But I do want to point out on the right-hand side of each process step, I tend to look at where the response skews negative. And I would consider somewhat dissatisfied and extremely dissatisfied negative. So I would just highlight from what I've seen so far, there's some things we're doing right, clearly, because, we have more of the folks that replied positively or negatively, excluding neutral. We have more positive replies than negative. So that's a good sign. I want to be interested in what we think we're doing right a little bit later. But as far as where we can improve, I see those opportunities around certification and opportunities to bid, particularly around opportunities to bid. So that was a clear front runner on areas where we could improve. I'll share one last thing, and then I'll pass it back to Jason, is that we've asked some questions around what we could do to make it easier, just general questions, and we left it open text so you all can offer some free-form sentiment there. And so right now, some of the things that are coming out are timeliness of, local, focusing on local businesses. We heard a little bit of that earlier. Quality in that, as I drilled down on that had more to do with like the process, diversity, and pay around timely payment. So these are some of the things that are jumping out again as we in the first 136 responses. And so I'll pause there and just again put some context around this to say, do these early results, are these consistent with what folks experience in real life? That would be my first question for you to consider individually or with the group. Where should we drill down more? What's missing? And again, lastly, I'll give you the URL again so you can take it later if you would like. And that's miamidade.gov/procurement survey.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shireen. It was a great overview of the survey results so far. And we want everybody to participate in that survey. And let's use that as we go into this next phase of the town hall, which is hearing from you, directly from you. We want to hear from you, and we want to get your solutions and ideas of how we as a county can do better. Danilo Vargas, who is our Small Business Innovation Manager, will lead us through this discussion. He'll provide us with a few question prompts, and I will, as you please raise your hand, you'll need to use the reaction bar at the bottom of the screen and raise your hand, as I'm doing now. And I will identify you as you raise your hand, and then, we'll open your mic, and so that we all don't speak at once. I see Mr. Eric Knowles has his hand up already, so we'll start with you, Mr. Eric Knowles, and then we'll go to Danny to give us a question prompt. Go ahead. Mr. Knowles, you have to unmute.
Thought you were doing that actually, but okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And sometimes my computer's sound is off, but anyway, a couple of things. And first of all, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Chair, Commissioner Sosa, and all the staff that have been working, and obviously the committee, Daryl Hosendorf, and the committee that has been working on this. And also I want to thank members of the chamber that I see here participating today. We have an advocacy committee that has been working and attending these meetings of the committee. And so thank you for participating. A couple of things. The disparity study that is in process, well, not in process, we're currently collecting the data so that we can have a disparity study to know what we already know. But several of us, Daryl Hosendorf, myself, and others, Ron Frazier, had been meeting with former commissioner, former chairwoman Edmondson to deal with the disparity studies. And one of the things that we had pulled out of that is that Mason Tillman, the consultant that had worked on the previous disparity study, basically had encouraged and indicated that we could bifurcate some of the injunction or lift part of the injunction as it related to construction. So that is one of the things that I would ask that we go back and look at that and really dive deep into this whole disparity issue. Because if we sit and wait again for another 4 or 5 years to collect the data that is needed to then do a disparity study, that's going to take another couple of years, we are missing major opportunities. The other thing that the mayor and many of you have heard me speak about is the mentor-protege policies. And we know that, and I see Amber Lohorn is on here, we know that Jackson in their bond, miracle bond that they just had, 1.2 or 3 billion, they had a mentor-protege component to that. And through the mentor-protege component, we were able to bring in those construction companies that did not have the background or the acumen to build hospitals, because you have to be ACA certified. But through that process, they were brought in and were able to participate and now are able to be engaged in hospital work. But I say that we could do mentor-protege not only in construction, but it should be in procurement. Any P3 project that happens in Miami-Dade County, from my perspective, should be a mentor-protege, have a mentor-protege component, as well as any large, we understand that a lot of large procurement items may not be secured here locally in the county or in the state. But if you're going to bring in a company from out of the state or even out of the country, that there should be some type of mentor-protege component added to that as well, and engage local businesses to bring them up. That's all I had to say at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowles, and thank you for being such a force in our local business community. I have your comments. One, to look at the disparity study, where we can lift part of that injunction as it relates to construction, as well as create a mentor-protege program similar to what they had at Jackson, specific to construction, but we can expand that.
Exactly.
We are taking notes, and we will provide an after-action report for some of these policies that we can follow up on and share with our policymakers.
Thank you.
I see Mauricio Rodriguez, your hand is up. Please unmute yourself and begin speaking.
Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for joining us. It really is inspiring that you took the time to be here with us today. Just a quick comment and then a question. So I think many of us are currently sitting not in our offices, right? Working from home, working in alternative locations because of the current COVID situation. And as a small business, that's what I'm doing. This is my virtual background. This is not really my office. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for me anymore to have a physical office, right? I have a virtual office. I'd like to keep my Miami-Dade address. I live in Miami-Dade, in Miami Lakes specifically. How is the regulatory governance adjusting for that adjustment in how we work, right? It is still a requirement to physically have a dedicated address in Miami-Dade County in order to do business with the county, or are we modifying that to really reflect the current situation?
All right, so I think that's a question, and your question was, are we modifying our local policies to account for those people who work from home, but who may work from home outside of Miami-Dade County?
That those of us that have decided to abandon physical offices, right? We no longer have a desk in a dedicated office space where we sit every day. We may have a virtual address, a virtual office in Miami-Dade County. We may be residents of Miami-Dade County. However, where we work is not necessarily the office, it's somewhere else.
So if I may, Jason, I think maybe Namada could answer the question as to how that is being handled currently, but certainly as far as being a local business, you know, as long as you have a local address, you're a local business. Of course, we also have primary business location, but as a virtual business person, that is your primary business address. Namada, can you give any clarity there?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. You're absolutely right. To do business with Miami-Dade County, you don't have to have an address. You can, I mean, in today's world, even if you're virtually working from home, you're residing in Miami-Dade County, your home office is your office. Yes, you can do business with Miami-Dade County. That is not a requirement. However, if you want to qualify for local preference, there are certain requirements that may apply, but we are going to look into how we see the local preference in today's world, because the things have changed. Like you mentioned about the office, you also mentioned about the 3 employees that we have a requirement. We will be shortly looking into those to qualify for local preference, but to do business, you don't need to have an office per se. You can work from your home location.
Correct, and I think local preference is specifically what I was referring to. So thank you for your clarification on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to get those 2 hands that were raised, but at this time I would like for our Small Business Innovation Manager, Danilo Vargas, to lead us through a guided discussion so that we can really take advantage of the limited amount of time we have. So Danilo?
Thank you so much, Jason. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Hi, guys. It's so great to be with you today. Thank you to Madam Mayor for convening us. I'll be the moderator for the listening portion of this town hall. This is the main reason we're here, to listen to your ideas and insights so we can reimagine what's possible for local and small business and county procurement. So what we're going to do is I have some prompts for all of you. And I'm going to ask you, as Jason indicated, to please raise your hand, and then we can ask you to unmute so that you can give us your ideas and insights regarding these prompts. These are just organized starters for conversation. So the first one is, and we're going to be focusing on what's working currently. What should Miami-Dade County continue doing to assist local and small businesses in doing business with the county? What is working? What should we continue doing? That's the first question. Who would like to comment on that? If you can please raise your hand and we'll go ahead and unmute you or ask you to unmute. What should Miami-Dade County continue doing to assist local and small businesses in doing business with the county?
If no one raises their hand, it's going to be a long conversation. Because that means we're doing everything wrong. So that couldn't be right.
I see something
right.
Right. And
yes.
I see Mr. John Ramirez. Please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time and effort of doing this. My name is John Ramirez. I actually sit on the Small Business Services Advisory Board.
Hello?
Mute. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Ramirez, please continue.
Okay, so my name is John Ramirez. I sit on the small
Suppose when I want to talk, what I do?
Board. Well,
Hello?
Yes, if everyone can please remain muted so that we can let our speaker have the floor. Thank you so much. Mr. Ramirez, take it away.
All right, third time's the charm. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you for setting this platform. My name is John Ramirez. I'm an owner of Flagrant International Solutions. I sit on the Small Business Services Advisory Board for Region 1. I have to say that the way the county opens its doors to do business with people is very inviting, right? Just the ability to come into the county, set up business, and be able to enterprise and be able to do business locally, government level, and international level from one facility. I think that's a hidden gem in Miami. I'm a transplant. I graduated college in 2009. I moved to Miami in 2010, and I've been here ever since. Now I'm a business owner and I'm married with children. I'm established here now. And I saw how, for me, I was able to do that. So I think that that's one thing that the county definitely has rights. And then you throw in all the programs and access and availability, just sharpens it even more. I do want to take a moment, since I got the floor, to jump on what Mr. Eric Knowles talked about, the Mentor Protege program. I would invite to be able to add or look at it from a different perspective, to be able to say Mentor Protege, small business incubator, minority business, to be able to tap into the set-asides that the county does. So incubate businesses at the level to where they need the help the most. So thank you very much. You guys have a great day. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I see Mr. Adebayo Coker. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. My name is Bayo Coker. I'm the president of HVC Engineering. I would say we're probably one of the success stories of Miami-Dade County Small Business Program. The question was, what does the county do right? I want to say the EDP program is a fantastic program. I think it really helps businesses get off the ground and have an opportunity to work with the county. I guess, my request would be regarding what can the county do? One of the fears of small businesses is when you graduate, then you need to be able to compete. And I think that what I'd like to see the county do as we move forward is to further investigate the local preference measures that we've been studying for a while now, that basically would allow us to take the next step right after graduating and actually competing with some of the bigger firms, and not just end up being in this loop of graduating, then coming back and graduating and coming back, to really allow us to be able to expand our businesses and our riches beyond the Miami-Dade County border.
Thank you, Mr. Coker. I see Gloria Liliana Fonseca. If you could unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. Thank you for everything that the county and everyone is doing. I am part of the Miami-Dade Chambers of Commerce. I do belong to the advocacy committee, and we are working really hard in order to prepare our small businesses, in order to prepare our members to become a certified firms with Miami-Dade County. I had seen that the county is doing great, like a program like a set aside. I think the set aside programs give an opportunity to get more economic opportunities because you don't compete too many firms. But at the same time, I think that they are making a great effort in order to reach out to small businesses with the service and also with all the meetings. I have been able to participate in the meetings, advisory boards. I know that Mr. Darrell and Mr. Ramirez, and I have been in many of the other thing that they do great is all the education that they are doing for the training. Ms. Fernandez, and I have been also in training with Ms. Namita Opal. So as much we learn, we are more prepared in order to compete. We are more prepared in order to come to a bid process and have the tools that we need. But we need to educate our small businesses. And that's exactly what Miami-Dade Chambers of Commerce is doing. They help us every week. We meet Tuesdays and Fridays, and they help us to get all that information that sometimes they get in those main meetings, and they bring it to us, and they share it with us, and they prepare us, and they encourage us to keep everything in order to be able to compete. Sometimes there are many requirements that the small business, for example, in paperwork, we don't have. But if we have those incubators, for example, that you guys were talking about before, those incubators needs to end in economic opportunities, because I can have 10 careers and 10 diplomas in my office, but if nobody gives me the opportunity to put in place my work, how I am going to get experience? The other thing is how we can really help, these firms that don't get perpetuated with the contract, because at the end, when you get experience, you get advantage. So I've been trying to get a contract for 3 years. Now is the first time that I'm in the process. I already received an award for one contract, but it's the first time. I don't know many things. So now is the opportunity that I had to get experience. And I do think that step, that gap from the incubators program to the contracts is huge. And that's exactly what you guys are doing well, getting those surveys in order to see where are we stuck as a small business to get to those opportunities. Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mr. Knowles. And I know that you fight for us all the time. Jason, you are a great, great leader. You respond immediately when we reach out to you. Lisa is here. We are working really hard in order to get many, many members of the chambers to get those opportunities, especially for Black businesses and for business women-owned. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Thank you. Danny, do you have a few other questions?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason. So thank you for that, for identifying what we should continue doing because it's working. The second question is more around the opportunities for improvement that we have. And so here's the question. What specifically would you like to see the county start doing to make it easier for local and small businesses to do business with the county? That's the next question. If you'll please raise your hand and give us your insights and ideas. What would you like to see the county start doing to make it easier for local and small businesses to do business with the county? We have one hand raised, Jason.
Yep, I see Mr. Oh, actually, let's go with Mr. Benjamin Essien. He has not shared with us yet. And then we'll go back to you, Mr. Coker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and all the participants in this meeting. Yes, I think there's a whole lot that the county is doing right now that is good, but I also think there is a whole lot of improvement. And I applaud the mayor for particularly talking about inclusion. Because in Miami-Dade County, when you talk about small businesses, when you talk about minorities, the minorities actually constitute the majority. And when you look at inclusion, then you see that most of the Black businesses are left out, whether in contracting, whether in goods and services, or whether in architecture and engineering. I think the county can do a whole lot better by having a process that encourages equity and inclusion. And how do we achieve that? I think we can think about it and we can look into it, ways to do that. Because if we don't have inclusion, most part of the counties or some parts of the county would be consistently left out of these dollars that help develop that area of our community. And if that area of the community, like Overtown, like Miami Gardens, like Goose, don't get developed, we hear of crimes. We hear of crime because people in that community don't have the opportunities that other people have in other communities. And I think that is what is responsible for that. We all know that. So we should emphasize a little bit more this time inclusion, particularly as it's applicable to the Black community. I would make some suggestion, and one of my suggestions would be that yes, when you look at procurement, for instance, for some services, I think we should make an effort to make sure that if we have a set aside that, that is for small companies, that at least there is some inclusion in that process as well. Whether in contracting, I think Mr. Knowles, the chamber chairman, has already talked about mentor protege programs that can help the Black contractor to be a part of this. And I think the processes should be, streamlined in such a way that when you come in, it is a more friendly process to the Black community. Because now we don't have the representation, whether in WASA, if you go to WASA, not many Blacks are engineers or architects. If you go to public works, not many Blacks are engineers or architects or contractors or irresponsible for this thing. So we need some way to handle inclusion that would help develop the entire community, not just one section, because we can talk about disparity studies. It would take 5 years to finish that. By the time if you finish that 5-year disparity study, you need to do another one. And we still continue to be in the same position that we've been since 1980s till today. The Black communities are still underdeveloped, and we have crimes and all that. And I think that's where the county should look at this time and really focus on seeing where we can help those contractors, those businesses that are in the Black community that can help uplift that community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Essien. I see we'll go to Mr. Ron Frazier, Ms. Amanda A., and then circle back to Mr. And then Gwendolyn Dowell. So Mr. Ron Frazier.
Okay. I really have two questions which spare some discussion. The first question is, search and all of its procurement pertaining to diversity, equity, and inclusion, but has no administrative order to implement this language. The question is, the second one is, the county has a diversity and contracting policy based on countywide employment statistics, but it's based upon aspirational goals with no administrative order, no oversight, no monitoring, no compliance. Why?
Okay, Mr. Frazier, your first question, it sort of got chopped up. You said that there's no you asked if there is an administrative order regarding the county's commitment to diversity and inclusion in contracting?
Correct. Policy and administrative order.
Okay, I guess Namata, can you answer that? Namata, could you answer that, or Gary Hartfield?
Definitely. The reason our program is based on the small business enterprise program, and it's not based on the minority, gender, or race. And that's why Mr. Knowles brought the issue of disparity study. Unless we do the disparity study, we cannot implement any such measures that have to do with race and gender. We are hoping that we would complete the disparity study soon and implement, what Mr. Knowles said, what we already know. Gary, I don't know if you want to add to it. And
this is not a race gender question.
Right. That's not what.
This is not a race gender question.
I don't believe that's what Ron was referring to. What Ron was referring to is why don't we have a policy that's in place that deal with diversity and inclusion? And Ron, we haven't gotten there yet. Our new mayor, our new administration has taken bold efforts in creating not only that within her own office, but she's going to later expound on how policy-wise we can do that. And that's the steps that we're taking now by listening to individuals like yourselves and others to try to grasp the concept of what that means and how to implement it within our community. That's going to bring about the policy that is needed. So that's where we are. And we will lend on people like yourself, Ron, who's been an advocate long before diversity and inclusion became the popular thing to say. You've been out there actually advocating for that from the very beginning. But we know that inclusion means whatever the community looks like, it needs to be a part of the makeup of committees, groups, evaluation boards, and also dealing with A&E groups when they come in town. They need to hire from the community that looks like it's having diversity. It needs to show the mass diversity of what we have here in our community in Miami-Dade County. So we hear you, and we're working on those policies as we speak.
I thank you for that, Gary. The second part of that question was diversity and contracting policy. You have a policy on the books, and it's called diversity and contract, but it has no administrative order. And that's the other reason I'm asking.
That is correct. We are not, at the time that particular legislation was put in place, it wasn't a part of SBD's criteria to monitor it. So it has not gone on under our watch, but we have been looking at those things. And again, the new administration has a different outlook on how we are approaching diversity and inclusion as we go forward. And so we're going to revisit those policies to see where we need to refresh them and actually look at them to see how we can implement them now as we go forward.
Thank you, Gary. And that's exactly right. That's why we're having this town hall. Thank you for bringing those issues to the table and letting us know that, those are two things that we need to work on. And I will certainly put that on my list of things to do. So thank you, Mr. Frazier. Let's go now to Ms. Wendelin Dowell and then Ms. Amanda A. Ms. Wendelin Dowell, if you could unmute.
Hi. Good evening. To be more fair, and I'm listening to, it's great when you're doing PowerPoints and all that, but do they really tell the truth about why small businesses are not participating in Miami-Dade County contract? Every contract, you're taking a UAP and expected general fee. It used to be that we can volunteer. I'm speaking under goods and services, and you taking 3% out of every payment for years. So we are funding the budget for basically for it's a user access fee and inspector general's office. But do they represent us? No. If you come to the county and you feel like you're not wanted here, or your employees or the staff and procurement don't have an open door or welcoming door, that's why a lot of contractors are not participating, not in the task force meetings, advisory meetings, the SBE that are supposed to be representing us, but are they representing us? When you show up, if you speak, it seems like you're aggravating them or whatever. I'm telling you from my experience. And I'm going to speak up, and I'm going to keep speaking up, but I shouldn't be retaliated again for speaking up when I see something wrong. So when you want to be concerned about why your numbers are not up, when your goods and services are not participating in contract, living wage. Living wage has went up every year, even during the pandemic. But not one time have anybody taken time to elevate the contract price. Value. It's still at 100,000 from when back in '99, but the living wage has gone up consistently every year. Even during the pandemic, we didn't get a break. It went up to $17.45 for cutting grass. Then not only that, they add stipulations on the contract. When you were going after these they started the pre-qualification thing a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago. It's called a process elimination. Because they got things in there. You got to go out and get an arborist. It's not a tree contract. You got to get a sprayer. You got to get someone to repair sprinklers. No sprinklers out there being damaged. But you're putting all these stipulations on contract to eliminate certain group of people. And I'm going to be basically truthful with you, African American. And I don't mean to just throw no race card, but I know what's been going on. And people don't want to participate in the county, go to DOT, they go to South Florida Water Management, bid on contract, but a lot of them don't even want to bid with the county because it's not a welcoming foundation. The departments are taking, they have a stipulation in a contract, a road, that we keep them beautiful around here. We have a beautiful county. Let's say Ram, they're inspecting the contract, they can say you didn't do the work, and they take your whole invoice. That's in a contract. That's in the contract. They just put that in there a couple of years ago. So you got vendors out there working hard, and then they take their whole payment because they inspect and say you got a deficiency. You go and correct it. They say you didn't correct it, and they take the money. That's a conflict of interest. But when you go to procurement, you got SBD buried under ISD when they used to be a separate department. The mayor said he did a great thing when he left. He used that as his platform. He didn't. He just hid a lot of departments up under departments, and power was lost for SBD really being able to represent SBEs.
Thanks.
Because you go under them with a problem, all of them in the meeting, ISD, procurement, and small business buried up under them.
Well, Ms. Dowell, that's why you have us all here on this call now, not only the policy makers from the Board of County Commissioners, but the staff from all of the different departments. And we hear you, and that's why we're here. And we want to address all of these issues. And I'm taking your notes. We have to, if we are elevating the contract value, we need to look at the contract value to make sure that we're compensating for the increase in the living wage. And we also need to look at the contract stipulations that we're adding. I'm taking notes so that we can include this in our after action report. Commissioner, thank you, Ms. Dowdell.
I'll be back to the next meeting. Keep it going.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Rebecca Sosa, I see your hand.
Thank you, Jason. Just one thing that I want to share with everyone. This is so wonderful, and just we're going to work together. The mayor, the administration have to carry on the pieces of legislation that are approved by the board. The board are the ones that have to do it. Believe me, we have tried, but legally, and I want to bring that to everybody's attention, because when we did the last procurement reform task force, we spoke to all the attorneys, we tried to get all the answers, and we cannot do it based on race and gender because of federal rules. So what we did was increase the points for local, increase the points for small businesses, which we are doing more or less the same thing without violating the law, because we cannot. But one thing that the mayor and I have discussed, and she's in complete agreement, we need to help those low-income families to go to trade schools, vocational schools, and those small businesses will be able to hire them, and the big businesses too, because we can work together and make the diversity and the needs of our community come to reality with the new changes. But we tried that in the past, and I just checked to make sure that I was saying the real legal thing. We're going to work on pieces of legislation that we're going to find a way to make it happen, but we are not allowed to violate the law based on that. And Namita is an expert on that, and she knows that we tried in the past. That's why we put the local percentage of points for selection. And at the same time, when someone comes from the outside, a company from the outside that is selected, we have rules already that they have to hire a percentage of local employees. And that is important for this task force to have in mind, because if we have a company coming, winning a contract from the outside, if we tell them, yes, but you have to have 90% of the employees from Miami-Dade County, it's very important for us. So I have another meeting, but I wanted to be as long as I could, but to share that with all of you. And I'm pretty sure the leadership of the mayor with all the groups and the Namita in that position is an encyclopedia. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
And thank you, Commissioner Sosa. Your participation today is invaluable. I'm just so grateful that you were able to join us. Thank you so much. Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you to Commissioner Sosa. And I did want to say, watch out for some procurement legislation coming your way.
Always welcome. Always welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. I think we had thank you so much, Madam Commissioner. We understand if you have to leave. Thank you for joining us. At this time, we will have Amanda A. She had her hand up for a while. Please unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
Hello, thank you. My name is Amanda Adams. I'm a small local business in Miami-Dade. My consulting company, Toloy Services, has been around for about 4 years, but I would be remiss not to get on the call and actually just state, you know, some of my sentiments being very young within, you know, the small business arena. I don't want to point blame, but I think this is the purpose of the town hall, right? So it's not to blame or it's just to raise more awareness. I do feel like other demographics have a completely different experience in the procurement process than African Americans and Black people. I'm just going to be very frank. It's not a welcoming process. It's very convoluted. Some of the previous, you know, business owners, how they stated, you know, there's loopholes and pitfalls within the procurement contract and what they're looking for. And it is very uninviting. And as a new business, you know, we've been to the training with the county and bid training, and we've done all the trainings to say, hey, how can we get informed if it's, you know, a very convoluted process? Well, what's the solution? Okay, let's go to the trainings and all of the forms that the county is offering so we can learn more and be more equipped and talk to, you know, other leaders in the community on like, how do we do this and how do we navigate it? Out of all those trainings, it's still very convoluted. It's still not an easy process. So a lot of times the county may think, oh, we're putting these, you know, these trainings in place and we have all these things to help small businesses, but it's almost like you expect us to come in at a we're coming in as novice and everybody else is on the advanced level and they understand the interworkings of the contracts and what the codes mean. And we're coming in, we're like, okay, well, why are we not winning? Why are we not even getting further into the process than just submitting, right? So I think a lot of the sentiments around systemic issues, right? Fortunately, I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of the business owners on these calls and get guidance on how, you know, to navigate through the process of procurement in the county. But I'm thinking about the people my age, and I'm in my late 20s, who don't have that guidance, right? Who can't reach out to, you know, an established business person in the Miami-Dade community to say, hey, something's wrong and I'm hitting these roadblocks and we can't get any contracts and goods and services or consulting. What's wrong? Am I delusional? You know, am I doing something wrong? You know, I'm an engineer by trade, so it's, you know, I'm always process improvement. What am I doing wrong? And to be told you're not doing anything wrong by 75% of, you know, the older Black businesses, this process is not made for you to win. That's very discouraging and disheartening. So I feel like we're young enough to start having our voices be heard. I would be remiss not to have my voice heard now, but I am so excited to be on this town hall and hear this forum because I hope that true change comes, because out of all of the business owners I've heard so far, it sounds like a systemic issue that we can address. And I'm ready to help in any way, but it has to change because this novice idea of it's so easy, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Amanda, for those comments. Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Jason. And I just want to say to Amanda, we hear you. And I think at the very beginning, we heard from Eric Knowles talking about what was the exact word, where you partner up and help each other.
Mentor like protege program.
Mentor protege. That is a very good partial solution to what you're saying. And also I've had the pleasure to be part of some of the online webinars that that organization hosts. And it's very, very participatory, very, very supportive. And as well, Danilo Vargas is going to be doing that through our office, very hands-on. So we're listening to you and we want to design programs that will be directly related to the things that you're raising.
Thank you. I am super excited. I'm here for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to it.
Leah Cerdido, please unmute yourself and share with us your thoughts. And then we'll have Sharice Chester.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And this is a great town hall. It's the first time I participate. And I just want to make a suggestion for what I'm hearing, since I've never gone through the bidding process or anything, is like perhaps you want to have a campaign on trying to certify as many small businesses as you can. And then, of course, then get them exposed to all these workshops you have for training to, for our RFPs and everything. Because what I hear is that the processes are too difficult. And then as a small business owner, you're wearing many hats. You're doing the work, you're meeting with a client, you're trying to do sales, you're trying to do marketing. So I hear two things. If you want more participation, maybe make it easier and encourage, reach out. You have the data, the small businesses, and you also know the services that the county needs bids for. So come on, let's go. Try to certify more small businesses, and then perhaps look at the steps in the process, and some of those could be eliminated, as well as, I don't know how it works, but another thing would be you have the data, the businesses, the industries. Do the small business owners that are certified, do they automatically get an email for a bid that relates to their business? And that's all. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you so much. We only have about 8 minutes left before we lose so many of our participants here, but I do want to allow Ms. Sharice Chester, Franklin Torrealba, as well as Ernie Gomez to speak, and then we'll circle back to Mr. Coker and Eric Knowles. So 1 minute each, if you can, and then we'll have the mayor to close us out.
I have a list of items. So I'm speaking, I have twofold. One, as a business owner, I want to recommend that the county identify ways to break down bid packages. For example, I'm in marketing and PR. Every bid I see, it's too big for me to pursue. So be aggressive about breaking down packages. Number two, Mentor Protege. I work on the Jackson project. I think it's a great program, but you have to have somewhere for them to go post the project. Create a pool for the Mentor Protege graduates so they can have continued opportunity, because you still have to support them. Number three, develop a payment plan for penalties. I've seen in my compliance work that the micro SBEs cannot afford to pay their entire payment from a prime for a penalty. If you break it up, maybe there's a cap in terms of how much they've made each year, break it up and give them the opportunity to address any SBD penalties by a payment plan. Number four, as a sub, I've been in business since 2002. I've been able to get work with the county as a sub to a prime, but the primes are holding us hostage. We have to figure out a way to require the primes to submit an invoice within 30 to 45 days. I don't know how we do it, but I've had invoices held for 9 months, a year, because we don't know where it is. Even when you reach out, you follow up. If we can address that problem, it'll make doing business with the county more attractive. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Chester. Thank you so much. I am taking notes. We will follow up on all of these issues. Gary, I believe, has signaled that we do have a mentor protege program of some sort. Do you want to address that now, Gary, very briefly, because we want to hear from the rest of the community?
Right. No, we do have a program in place. We need to, again, introduce it to our new administration, our new mayor, and we need to talk it over. So we may need to refresh some things, and so we can move forward. So we hear you. And Cherie, we have had that discussion many of times. We do have some policies in place and some new administration implementation things in order to address those very concerns you just raised. And those things will be coming out shortly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hartfield. All right, I think we were going to Mr. Franklin Torrealba. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, commissioners, Madam Mayor, colleagues, good to see you again. I will be very brief. I have been lucky to work for the county as a consultant for 24 years. I started my small business, have a small local business enterprise about 8 years. We're very successful. I can tell you that the county is really, I've always tried to help the small businesses. So I want to applaud them echo them because, you know, they're really always trying. I know Gary's team and everybody's always trying to help the small businesses. And I'm just going to tell you from the outside some of the lessons learned and some of the positive criticisms, if I may. One, I want to echo the mentor protege program, but I think it needs to be done countywide and by department, not by program, because when the programs are gone, then happens, like somebody else said, what happened to us. So make it like a constant, is always happening, is there. And really, the part of the mentor protege program is to train, assist, and help the small businesses. So you get rid of the complexity and make it simple. Another point is there are many opportunities. When I think what's happening is somehow there's so many opportunities. So it's kind of complex for the small business, especially if we're trying to worry about invoices and everything else. How do we get to those opportunities? So if somehow we can have a bigger program on how to, these are all the opportunities with the county. That'll be also be great. We have to identify the small businesses and actually reach them out. And I know it's hard because they're busy. They don't answer the phone calls. They don't answer the emails because we've been through that, Gary and I together and WASA. But you got to get out there. We got to put a task force just to tackle the small business, show them how good the county is, and show them how well they can do once they get the process down. We need to make it easy to access, easy access, simplify the process, training. And at the end of the day, if we can make the payment process quicker for small businesses, that would be better. The part of the issue is we treat a $2 million contract same as 50,000. So what happens? You go through 1,000 red line drawing. It's too complicated. So and remember, cash flow for the small businesses is key. Thank you. Thank you for all your help as always.
Thank you, Mr. Torrealba. I just want to say that we're coming up on our 2-minute mark. Okay, sorry. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. We're coming up on our 2-minute mark. I just want to let you know, if you have not been able to comment now, we will have another roundtable regarding procurement, and we'll be looking at the entire procurement system, not just the part of the procurement system for local and small businesses. And we also have the Goods and Services Task Force that we invite all of you all to participate in. But so I'm sorry we couldn't get to everyone's comments at this moment, but we do want to allow our mayor to close us out for this initial town hall. And I just want to thank you all for participating. Madam Mayor.
Well, thank you so much, Jason, for putting this together, and everybody who contributed to putting it together, and all of you who've offered your very, very thoughtful recommendations, which we will put to good use, definitely. And this is all about making sure that our local businesses do have the opportunities that we want you to have. We know when you do well, we all do well. We know that when we hire locally and we hire businesses that have not had an opportunity to get into county contracting, that creates jobs, that it creates income, that it strengthens our economy, and it lifts up all our communities. So we definitely take everything that has been said to heart. And with that, every time I say the word heart, I think of Gary Hartfield. And I do want to say that there's a lot of heart in Gary Hartfield, and I am very eager to have his office implement many of these things. There will also be a need for some legislation, and we will be in a continuous improvement process. So we have now the concentration on these issues out of the mayor's office so that we can get it right. We're going to set benchmarks. We're going to set goals. We're going to monitor progress, and we're going to eliminate barriers. So with that, good night. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.